Before the war, life followed a rhythm that felt eternal. In the town of Siget, daily routines were shaped by faith, tradition, and family. For young Eliezer, the world was defined by prayer, study, and the comforting certainty that tomorrow would resemble today. The war existed somewhere far away, spoken of in hushed conversations and distant rumors. Germany's expansion across Europe sounded serious, but abstract. Many believed reason would prevail. Others believed they were simply too small, too insignificant to be noticed by history. When foreign Jews were expelled from Siget, they returned with stories that shattered logic. They spoke of ghettos, deportations, and camps designed not for imprisonment, but for destruction. Their warnings were met with disbelief. The stories were too horrific to accept. Fear, when it threatens to change everything, is often rejected first. Life continued. Shops opened, prayers were said, children studied, and the illusion of safety remained intact. Then the rules began to change. Slowly at first. Jews were restricted in where they could go. Homes were marked. Possessions were limited. Armed guards replaced familiar faces. What had once felt temporary began to feel permanent. Families were forced into ghettos, cramped into spaces never meant to hold so many lives. Still, many believed it would pass, that negotiations would happen, that the world would intervene. The order to leave came without explanation. Each family was told to pack one suitcase, only essentials. No one said where they were going. No one said when they would return. The streets filled with silence as people marched away from their homes, carrying their lives in small bags, clinging to hope because the alternative was unbearable. The train cars were not meant for people. They were cattle cars, sealed, overcrowded, suffocating. Hundreds were packed inside with no water, no air, no certainty of time. Days blurred together. Panic spread. Some screamed, others prayed. Many fell silent. Humanity began to fracture under pressure. The journey stripped away dignity long before the destination was reached. When the doors finally opened, the night truly began. Flames rose into the sky. Smoke filled the air. The smell of burning flesh erased any remaining doubt. This was Auschwitz. There were no explanations, only commands. Families were separated within seconds. A wave of the hand determined life or death. Mothers disappeared one way, fathers and sons another. There were no goodbyes, no last words, just absence. From that moment on, survival depended on obedience, chance, and the ability to suppress emotion. Names were replaced by numbers. Identity vanished. Hunger became constant. Beatings were random. Death was ordinary. The days lost meaning. Time dissolved into endless suffering. Faith, once unshakable, began to crack. How could a world exist where children burned and heaven remained silent? Questions had no answers. Belief became fragile. Some clung to it desperately. Others watched it die slowly, replaced by anger, emptiness, or numbness. Inside the camp, humanity was tested in its most brutal form. People were forced to choose between compassion and survival. Bread became currency. Silence became protection. Even family bonds were strained by starvation and fear. Survival instincts replaced morality. The night was no longer just darkness. It became a state of existence. And yet, even in that darkness, fragments of humanity survived. A whispered word of encouragement, a shared piece of food, a moment of solidarity that defied the system designed to destroy it. These moments were rare, fragile, and dangerous, but they proved that something human still remained. As the war neared its end, the camps grew more desperate. Marches began. Bodies collapsed in the snow. Liberation came not as triumph, but as disbelief. Survivors were free but broken, physically alive, emotionally scarred. Many returned to a world that could never understand what they had endured. For Elie Wiesel, survival carried a responsibility: memory. Silence, he believed, would be the final victory of evil. Writing became an act of resistance against forgetting. Night was not written to shock, but to testify, to remind the world of how fragile civilization truly is, how easily hatred grows, how quickly darkness falls when people choose not to see. This story is not only about the past, it is a warning, a reminder that the night does not arrive suddenly. It comes quietly, disguised as indifference, denial, and silence. And once it falls, it consumes everything. After liberation, the world did not suddenly become bright. Freedom arrived quietly, almost awkwardly, as if even it did not know how to enter a place built for death. The gates opened, the guards disappeared, and silence replaced orders. For those who survived, there was no celebration, no cheers, only confusion. Many were too weak to stand, too empty to feel joy. The war was over, but the night had not ended. Survivors looked at one another like strangers. Faces reflected hunger, loss, and something harder to describe, a permanent distance from the world they once knew. Mirrors became unbearable. The people staring back no longer recognized themselves. Liberation gave back the body, but the soul lagged behind, trapped somewhere between memory and grief. Returning home was not a return at all. Cities had changed, families were gone, homes were occupied or destroyed. Questions followed everywhere. Where were you? How did you survive? But no answer felt adequate. Language failed. Words were too small for what had happened. Silence often felt safer than explanation. Many asked themselves why they lived when others did not. Guilt followed survival like a shadow. Every meal tasted like memory. Every quiet night echoed with screams that never fully faded. Sleep offered no rest, only dreams that reopened wounds. The camps had been left behind physically, but mentally they endured. For years, the world seemed eager to forget, rebuild, move on, talk about victories and peace. But those who had seen the darkness knew that forgetting was dangerous. Evil does not vanish when ignored. It waits. It changes form. It learns patience. Writing became a way to fight back, not with weapons, but with truth. To write was to remember. To remember was to resist. Each sentence became a witness for those who never returned. Each page a refusal to let silence win. The story of the night was never meant to belong to one person. It belonged to millions. It was proof of what happens when hatred becomes policy, when fear becomes law, and when ordinary people look away. The Holocaust was not born in camps. It was born in words, in ideas, in moments of indifference. And that is why this story continues to matter. Because the night is not confined to history books. It appears whenever lives are reduced to numbers, whenever suffering is dismissed as necessary, whenever silence feels more comfortable than action. The darkness does not announce itself. It arrives quietly, one choice at a time. Remembering is not about living in the past. It is about protecting the future. It is about recognizing the warning signs before the night falls again, because once it does, it consumes everything: faith, families, identities, and hope. The lesson of the night is not despair. It is responsibility. As long as stories are told, as long as memory survives, the darkness has not won. And the moment we stop listening, that is when the night truly returns. If this story moved you, take a moment to honor those voices that history almost erased. Leave a like. It helps this story reach more people who need to hear it. And if you believe remembering the past is a way to protect the future, subscribe to the channel. Here we tell real stories, stories that matter, stories the world must never forget.